Hey guys, Paul Burt, Backyard Engineering, bearded engineer, bearded storyteller. Right, I've had a few people ask me exactly how I go about doing these wheels. So I thought I'd put a little video together with as much of the stuff that I've got in front of me as possible to explain how you need to go about doing certain measurements, choosing what donor wheels, etc, 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 etc. So, right, let's make a start. So I'm going to tell you some of the do's and don'ts. So let's see, I shall start off with this. Now this is a BMW Style 32 alloy, and the front face of this is good to me, but the rear end is buckled. So what I've done is I basically chopped that center out, and then I machine this down on the lathe to make a center where, to make a hoop where I take one of these Opel Manta wheels, I chop the back of it, and then I skim it down. Now I skim it down and then turn it into a face with a stop. So the only thing that you're caring about is this beading edge here. This beading edge here becomes square. That beading edge will then sit into the hoop that you make. So this one's very hot at the moment. As you can tell, it's gold from silver because it's just out of the oven, because I leave them in the oven just to gas out and burn off any oil, asbestos, etc, 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 etc. So one of the very important sizes which you're looking at is between here, because when you skim this hoop out, you are left to the mercy of this size here. Now normally I use BMW Style 33 turbine alloys, and if you look at that distance there, which I think I measured it before with 28 millimeters, yeah, by the time you skim down this hoop, yeah, on a Style 33, you have got the full flat thickness. Now if I do it on the Style 32, yeah, I'm literally just touching that edge. I get about 2 millimeters. So this is very important when you're choosing your donor wheels. You must have enough meat there to be able to have a flat surface for your hoop to sit in. Style 33s for me, and Range Rover Classics. When I say Range Rover, I basically mean the free spoke alloys. And also, because you're using Style 33s, yeah, and not these Style 32s, yeah, Style 33s are a heavier weight of alloy, and they're thicker, they're beefier, they're meatier, they've just got more to them. These Style 32s here, they don't have the same meat to them. But you'll also find that a lot of modern alloys, they're a lot thinner. Yeah, this is because they're made in a different process. They're annealed differently, they're cast differently, lots of different shit. And you'll find that these thinner alloys, this gap here is going to be huge in comparison. I mean, like, let's just say, in fact, I'm not even going to hazard a guess at the measurement, but I would say on an average 16 between a 32, a Style 33, and I think this is it's a BMW alloy, but I don't know what it's off. I think it's off a later 5 Series. It was only good for one purpose. But yes, this is the size which you need to care about. The other size that you need to care about is where your face is actually where your face is actually going to sit. Because if I show you, which wheel shall I show you for this? I shall show you this. So this is a 14-inch Manta alloy which has been turned into 16, and the guy wanted a specific depth. So when you're checking out your donor wheels, yeah, try and find a wheel with that depth with the inside. Now this wheel, when I made it, I'm still on the Opel Manta front face, so I'm on here basically. Now the front, it was literally overlapping in two places, and it didn't sit right. It took 2 attempts to weld it. This is actually the rear hoop of that BMW wheel there, because when I did it, it had a little bit of up and down bounce, and by the time I took the up and down bounce and straightened it up, this felt like a CD, so that was a start again. But some people will know what I call my coffin drops, which is a Style 33 with the center cut out of it, with the Manta hoop, Manta center made, and then I put the Style 33 in the oven and I expand it. I drop the hoop into the center, that all drops down nicely, and then I do a weld around the front, so I don't have to play around with valve holes, etc, 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 because you're using the Style 33's original valve hole, and you can't part them. I mean, in fact, I would actually say that the weld around the front is more cosmetic than anything else. But yes, so this one here, the guy wanted a certain depth from the mounting face to the rear, and the mounting face to the front. Now the front is 95 millimeters, I think the rear is 147-ish. Anyway, these were actually made to the guy's size, rather than a coffin drop. So what you've got is you've got your BMW turbine alloy, and then you've got your Manta, which is then dropped in. It can only go so far because it's indexed. Then it was welded, the Manta alloy was welded to the BMW alloy, and then some Honda CR-V wheels at the time took that. But when I did the rears, there's more meat to join. So the rears aren't an issue, but that's basically the same. That's the BMW turbine welded to the Opel Manta, and then the Opel Manta is welded to a larger section of the CR-V. So this front, I shall get back to the Style 33, Style 32. So basically what I've done is I've cut the center out of the Style 32 alloy and then dropped it down into the index. Basically what I've got to do is I've got to grind these off yet. I started doing them on the mill in the grinder, but I'll flush that off. The reason why I didn't just basically machine down that edge is because I'm wanting to keep the original valve hole. Then obviously that valve hole gets welded up because that's surplus to requirements. But this Style 32, where it only grabs a couple millimeters onto that face, nope, not that one, this one here, so basically it's only grabbing on a couple millimeters there. But I'm only wanting to use the front face of this because this was a Style 32 which was buckled. So next thing I will be doing is I will be chopping it off here, which will give me access to the rear of this face. I can then cut another 16-inch wheel of the correct inside diameter, slide that up to it, weld it down, and it's done. So because the guy wanted the exact sizes, I get the two fronts together. You would see that coffin drop is only going to give him a 7, whereas the specific sizes is giving him an 8, and the rears which I've made for him are 9s. So can't just coffin drop with this. This has got to be chopped, this buckled section thrown away, and a new section slid on. So yes, there are your specific sizes that you want. You want to be able to have enough drop to get the face to where you want it, with enough width in the donor hoop to be able to accept the face, and then it's just all down to trial and error. It's like the other thing that you've got to take into consideration is a standard wheel has this drop. So this is where your tyre basically comes on and off. If you decide just to take, say, this 14-inch wheel and add X amount of 14-inch wheel to the front of it, this area here now, the diagonal, you can't get the tyre lip into there and then get it on. But sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I mean, this here is an Opel Commodore alloy wheel, a Ronald Kiblat, which basically looks the same as the Mark 1 Granada-ish. But I'm using these on my custom car, which is basically a Ford Granada Coupe with a BMW E39 welded in from underneath, using all the BMW suspension and floor pan. So I wanted to keep it looking like a Granada, but I've turned this 14-inch into these 16-inch alloys. So the other problem which you're going to get is obviously now you've got this size. Now I can just about, with plenty of soap, get a 16-inch tyre on and off this wheel. Goes on piece. Anybody can put a tyre on something that's been banded wrong, but getting them off is a different story altogether. And with plenty of soap, I can just about get a tyre on and off this one. So the next thing that you have to consider when you're choosing your donor alloys and how you're going to do your wheels is the valve hole. So I need to get on to this rear now. So the original valve hole gets welded up. Now with this one, what I ended up doing, and I'm going to revert from this because I'm not happy, is that there is where the original valve hole is. Now all I was going to do is weld in a section in the rear to make it, oh hello little guy, weld in a section at the rear, so basically I can drill down that way and then catch the drill that way. So I've basically got an L, drill this out, tap it and screw in an NPT Schrader valve. But I've since found that I've got enough meat here to be able to drill in diagonally to be able to seal up and catch this back edge. But they are another day. They are another day. So, first attempt on this one was to drill straight through and then get the valve in from behind. Obviously it wouldn't be this valve I'm using, and obviously I'm welding up this hole because I'm not happy with this. But with a bit of jiggery pokery, I've ended up putting the valve hole through the face, into the rear. So basically what I need to do is just flat this off now, and then the valve will sit in there nicely. But I couldn't do this with the front. There isn't enough in the front to be able to get a valve through there. So this method is best. And also, if you imagine a tyre when you fit it to a rim and it blows on, and then you stand back and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and it goes bang, yeah, that is the pressure which you've got on a rim. So this weld here is constantly under pressure, whereas this way the rim, the outer hoop, is basically pushing against the face because it's sitting on that edge there. So it can't go. It can only press harder against the face. So when this one is done, basically you've got a face which is hard up against the center, and then you've got a heat shrunk hoop onto the back, which you can't part in a million years, and then welded round. So you've got the two methods that I can do. I can do the size, I can do some research and find the right rims and build them that way, or I can do the standard coffin drops. So now you know. I'm always up for making wheels for people. It's not a cheap experience, I can tell you that for nothing. Basically, I wanted 16-inch wheels for my Granada at the time, and I was looking at an extraordinary amount of money. Why does this camera just keep going dark? I was looking at an extraordinary amount of money, so I decided I'm just going to buy a lathe and attempt to do it myself, and that's what I've ended up doing. Now, I can guarantee you that you're going to have to do a lot of modification to your lathe, unless you've got some huge ass 3-phase, what would have been the price of a house back in the day that you can pick up for scrap weight. But an average Colchester, by the time you take a 9-inch grinder to it and cut the bed out a little bit and do a little bit of jiggery pokery, you can get up to, well, I've had a 22.5-inch truck wheel on there. I've had the wheels of this on my lathe. These started off as 22.5s, and I basically had to skim down the surfaces so 22-inch tires would fit. But it's all doable. It's all doable. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel, guys. I've got so many more wheels to make, but beggars belief. Right, laters.